Why we can't stop checking our phones according to Lao Tzu. Recent studies show that even tiny pockets of digital silence, just a few moments a day, can spark creativity, improve your sleep, deepen your conversations, and even lower your anxiety. Here's something fascinating. Modern neuroscience is basically proving something Lao Tzu said thousands of years ago. When the mud settles, the water becomes clear. So today, let's talk about how to let the mud settle, right in the middle of our chaotic, hyper-connected lives. Why do you check your phone all the time? Like you know nothing changed in the last 30 seconds, but you just can't stop yourself. This is a problem almost everybody with a phone faces today. Here's the crazy part. This isn't a modern problem. Lao Tzu, a man who lived 2,500 years before smartphones, described the reason why we can't stop scrolling. And shockingly, he also explained the way out of it. The truth is, we're living in a world that's perfectly designed to keep our attention hostage. We wake up, and the first thing we touch isn't the floor, or the pillow, or the person sleeping next to us. It's our phone. Before we even barely open our eyes, we want to see if a notification waited for us overnight. And even if we know nothing is there, we still check. We check again. And then again. Not because we believe it will truly give us something, but because there's tiny moments of discomfort we want to avoid. Those flickers of silence we don't know how to sit with. Lao Tzu had a word for this: desire without object. It is the constant urge to seek stimulation. Not because it brings harmony, but because we fear stillness. He wrote, when the mind is crowded, the heart becomes restless. We like to think we're in control, that we choose when to look, when to scroll, when to pause. But look closer. Most of us don't choose, we just react. The motion is automatic, like a reflex. And this isn't your fault. Your brain is working exactly the way it was built. We have an ancient hardware trying to live in a hyper-stimulated world. You all heard of dopamine, the brain's little motivator, loves unpredictability, not rewards, not messages, not likes. Unpredictability, the possibility of something happening. If you think about it, what is a smartphone? A slot machine in your pocket. Every notification is a maybe. Every refresh is a maybe. Lao Tzu phrased this in his own poetic way. The chase for fullness leads only to emptiness. He just didn't know that one day the emptiness would glow at 60 hertz and fit in your hand. But Lao Tzu wasn't pessimistic at all. He wasn't telling us to run away from the modern life and live without technology. His solution was balance, about reclaiming the inner stillness we've abandoned. If he were here today, he wouldn't say delete your apps or throw your phone away. Instead, he'd say, the problem isn't you, device. It's your attachment to it. Look at how we behave every day. We check our phones during conversations. We scroll during meals. We can't watch a show without checking IMDb, texting a friend, and pausing to look at memes halfway through. We can't stop ourselves from opening new tabs in our minds. We live in constant mental fragmentation. Our attention jumps like a stone skipping across water, but never sinking in. We never absorb anything deeply. And Lao Tzu warned about this exact thing. Wisdom comes from stillness. That's why busy minds cannot see clearly. Let's dig deeper. Does silence feel uncomfortable to you? Why does waiting in an elevator for 10 seconds make us reach for the phone? It's simple. The phone gives us control. A way to avoid feeling bored, lonely, uncertain, or unaccomplished. It fills the space. It gives us something to hold so we don't have to hold ourselves. But Lao Tzu taught that avoiding discomfort actually multiplies it. What you resist, he said, becomes your burden. The more we escape boredom, the more restless we become. The more we run from silence, the louder our thoughts get. The more we scroll to distract ourselves, the emptier we feel afterward. Think about it. When was the last time you stood in line without looking at your phone? When was the last time you walked somewhere, anywhere, without listening to something? When was the last time you allowed your mind to simply exist without being pulled in different directions? This isn't criticism. This is recognition. Lao Tzu would tell us, you are not broken, you are overstimulated. A mind that never rests forgets its own nature. And that's exactly where Wu Wei comes in. Wu Wei is often translated as effortless action, but the meaning goes deeper. It's action in alignment with your nature. It's doing without forcing, flowing instead of pushing. Applied to modern life, Wu Wei isn't about cutting technology out. It's about letting go of the frantic grasping. It's about noticing the urge to check your phone and not being ruled by it. Let's imagine a scenario Lao Tzu might describe. You're sitting in a cafe. Your phone buzzes. You feel the urge to pick it up. Instead of reacting instantly, you take a breath. You notice the feeling. You observe it like a cloud floating by. The urge rises, and then it falls. And suddenly you realize you weren't actually curious about the notification. You were seeking distraction, seeking stimulation, seeking escape. This moment, this tiny pause, is the beginning of freedom. Because Lao Tzu believed freedom begins inside, not in the world, not in the device, not in the silence, in you. Let's go even further. If Lao Tzu analyzed social media, he'd say, comparison is a thief of harmony. And he'd be right. We scroll and we compare. We measure our lives against highlight reels. Our minds absorb thousands of signals saying, you're behind, you're not enough, you're missing out, others are doing better. And each signal, no matter how small, chips away at inner peace. Lao Tzu warned about this. When you seek approval from others, you become their prisoner. Isn't that exactly what happens today? We post something and instantly wonder, did they like it? Did they see it? Why didn't they react? What does all this mean? Our emotions become outsourced to strangers. Our self-worth becomes tied to invisible numbers. We become fragile. Lao Tzu called this living outside yourself. His solution? Return inward. Move slower. Simplify. Not your home, your mind. Let's talk about a practical strategy he would approve of. Instead of saying, I'm not going to use my phone, he'd say, make your phone work for you. That means creating intentional spaces for stillness. A short walk without your phone. A meal where you actually taste the food without watching anything. 5 minutes of quiet breathing before bed instead of 30 minutes of scrolling. These aren't restrictions. They're reminders. Gentle ways to reset the mind. Here's something fascinating. Studies show that people who practice even tiny pockets of digital silence experience more creativity, better sleep, deeper conversations, and reduced anxiety. That's basically modern neuroscience confirming what Lao Tzu said millennia ago. When the mud settles, the water becomes clear. And right now our minds are muddy. Constant stimulation keeps everything swirling. No clarity, no depth, no calm. Lao Tzu would say, let the mud settle, let the water clear. Put the phone down, not because it's bad, but because your mind needs space to breathe. Here's the most important part. The goal isn't to escape technology. The goal is to escape the illusion that you must be connected at all times. Lao Tzu would remind us, to be content with little is true wealth. So the quieter your mind becomes, the fewer things you will need to feel whole. So next time you feel that automatic pull toward your phone, pause. Just for a second. Notice the feeling. Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just see it. That moment of awareness is the way back to yourself. Once you reclaim that inner space, once you stop chasing constant stimulation, something amazing happens. You feel lighter. You think clearer. You breathe deeper. And you realize that the world is much more vibrant, more peaceful, more alive, when your mind finally stops running. We don't need to abandon modern life. We just need to remember what Lao Tzu knew all along. The mind, when calm, becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, you rediscover yourself.